And welcome back, everyone, to Zanpaktuto Creation Series. Didn't come out yesterday, new year, just trying to get into the swing of things. Been all tired just because of, scheduling and all that. But I'm here, we're doing it. Plus, I got a whole bunch of videos I need to do today, so let's get to it. From Yajiro World, we have Dabi's from My Hero Academia. Toya Todoroki, I believe his name is, Zanpaktuto. Now, normally I don't try to tie the elements in unless it's a very key part of who they are. Like their abilities, I should say. And like Naruto, I wasn't going to tie Rasengan or Shadow Clones into the Zanpaktuto. That wasn't what. That's just not how that works, I feel. Furthermore, I wouldn't tie something like, if I'm dealing with someone who normally, like Storm, for example. Storm, I haven't done Storm yet, but Storm I feel like could have a weather manipulation Zanpaktuto, but that's something where it is kind of more tied to her identity than anything else. So that's an example of someone you would do it with. But another example of someone that you wouldn't do it with to tie their abilities in, I have to think of someone off the top of my head here. I'm actually just suddenly blanking on some. Let's do another My Hero character. Tenya, Ida. You wouldn't necessarily tie speed, like it's a super fast Zanpakuto. You wouldn't necessarily tie that to his Zanpakuto per se. That's not like intrinsic to his identity, who he is. Whereas Dabi's fire and his need to prove himself and show he's the best and his attention and all his self-destruction to get it, that does seem more tied to him. And so, as always, the type of Zanpakuto this would be an elemental Zanpakuto. It would be a fire-based Zanpakuto. I could even see the blue flames coming forth. It would still be a standard katana, and its release would actually not be too dissimilar from Ryujin Jaka's, where it's all things in the universe turn to ash. Ryujin Jaka! Here it's just more along the lines of all things burn. Gomon Sarete Fenikusu, or Tortured Phoenix. Its Bankai is Fenikusu no Sago no Nemun, or Final Sleep of the Phoenix. Its Shikai, or its spear, I should say, not a shocker, would look like a phoenix. Particularly though I'm thinking Fox when Harry first meets him Fox on a burning day. A very ratty feathers coming out of its wings, off its body looking phoenix. Like it's almost got like the mage or mites or something like that. It would be tied to Zabi's personality, that Zabi is self-destructive. But seeing how phoenixes are a symbol of rebirth, and in lore are technically immortal, I feel like the phoenix is able to recoup its natural body, but it comes at great costs. So, what does the Zanpaktuto actually look like when it's released? I actually don't think it looks that much different than its normal form, normal katana. I think you can maybe make it a little bit thicker, make it a little bit more jagged looking, maybe give it some spiky looking aspects to it. But I think it does look like more just maybe like a slightly more like jagged or spiky looking sword. Maybe kind of looking like almost looking like flame turned into a sword blade. But it looks charred, and it's constantly just pieces are just cracking off it all the time. In essence, it's a sword that, while not burning naturally, like it's not on fire, it is naturally burning away and then reforming. The bits are growing back, and you even see like bits of flame just kind of as you kind of see like when paper burns, the little line of fire, or a leaf burns, a little line of fire. That's what you kind of see here. Actually, you know what the best way to put it? It looks kind of like the wing of a phoenix. The feathers are kind of like burning, constantly falling off. And while it's not on fire when it's like just stationary, the minute you start moving, the heat just kind of activates and pieces of it just starts falling off. If it crashes, it lands contact with something, an opponent, a sword, or building, ground, whatever, it will just kind of release a large amount of just ash and pieces of the blade. Now, the blade will again reform, but the point of this is to illustrate the dying flame aspect of it. Because once these bits just fall off, they're in essence like napalm. They're not even like fire. They are physically manifested forms of radiation napalm. They will burn, and they will burn corrosively too. And it's just a Zanpakto that the minute it starts, swinging and striking, it's going to raise all hell because it can't be controlled. Dabi doesn't control his flames, at least not in a way that would prevent the flames from burning things. He may very have techniques where the fire does come on under his command to some degree, but it's not something where it's like I can manipulate the flame. I can control these flames go, brother. I just don't care. No, it's not like that. It's like once the flames grow, they will never stop. They'll consume everything, brother. And then he just starts going wild with his blade. Yeah. And maybe he has a technique where he basically just kind of like points the blade near his hand or something like that, and literally just pushes it, stabs it, but he forces his Reishi to keep him from being stabbed, just crushes his blade down, and just unleashes a giant, like almost like a Heineko style gust of ash that just envelops the area in napalm-like fire. And then the blade regrows again. This is a very unique and damaging Shikai because of just the nature of Dabi. Now Shikai don't have to worry about not being destroyed and not coming back. It's the Bankai's worry. Speaking of which, the Bankai. This is another one of those Bankai where it certainly takes on the aspect something similar more to like Kenpachi, where it actually does alter the body. His flames he basically becomes his sword. He is constantly falling apart. He is constantly kind of reforming. His body's kind of forming into like burning ash. The blue flames are just coming out. And he does not give a shit. And he has full control over his flames here, where he can just unleash fire. And and he can just continue to do this. He might have an ability where the flames converge on his body, turns to a phoenix, and he dive bombs. That'd be a suicide move. The very, very distinct difference between the Shikai and the Bankai here is while his body does reform, the Bankai can reform, which is very rare, but can happen. Sajin's Bankai is so closely connected to him that it can do that. It's one of the rare Bankais that can repair itself that we know of. I could see that being another case for that. However, if Toya's body is too heavily damaged, for example, if his head's taken off or his if his heart's blown out, if any vital injury is inflicted on him, then he could survive until the Bankai ends. The Bankai could keep him alive temporarily, but the Bankai will not reform after that, and he will die. And he wouldn't care, because that is what he was at that point, just kind of like a madman, a monster. So, it's a Bankai that is very dangerous, definitely a double-edged sword. But it's still a Zanpakto that would very much fit this character. Now, weaknesses of Zanpakto. Take the Ryatsu argument out of the question, which is always an issue. What other weaknesses does the Zanpakto have? To start with, it's not really a ranged weapon. It's got range capabilities. Like he can swing the blade and fire bits out, but it's really not a ranged weapon in the traditional sense. It doesn't have like a specific ability to that that can be used as a range attack. Maybe you can manipulate fire to some degree, but not really. It's also it can keep its general like core of the blade to a certain extent, but it's kind of a brittle weapon. Like it's designed to crumble and fall apart. So in like a physical fight, blade to blade, this thing would not actually do very well. What about, though, the Bankai? Well, like I said, the Bankai and water also, any liquid or anything that can like douse flames would also be a problem for this. But also, what about, the Bankai, like I said, lethal, like vital organ, particularly like heart or brain injuries, definitely wouldn't be good in the Bankai. That would end the Bankai more or less. But beyond that, again, anything where you got insulation can stop the flames from burning, whatever. Extinguishers. Like this Zanpakto would probably suck against Wonderweiss of all people. Wonderweiss was designed to extinguish Ryujin Jaka, but in theory, it could extinguish any fire type Zanpakto if we really think about it. Regardless, I think it's a fitting Zanpaktuto for him. I do think it works as a concept for this character. So I would definitely say that's my thoughts on the Zanpaktuto. If you think something different, let me know in the comments below. Because I do think fire does, and something that's self-destructive, does have to be involved with the Zanpaktuto. That is just the nature who Toya kind of was. So I would probably go that route, but let me know what you would do. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I got a who would win and plenty of other videos to do later on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.